Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new League of Myths episode. Unfortunately, Tahm Kench is still not out. But regardless, if you guys end up enjoying this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. But let's still move into the first myth. Can Rek'Sai die while she is mid-ultimate? So I honestly think the results from this one are quite interesting, but first let's test it out with Karthus. Is Karthus' ultimate still able to hit Rek'Sai while she is dashing across the map with her ultimate and finish her off? So here Rek'Sai is definitely close enough to die from just the Karthus ultimate, and as I use my ultimate and Karthus is channeling his, it instantly disappears from me, and it ends up not actually striking Rek'Sai. But what about a dot type ability? So for instance, Malzahar's E or Ignite. These abilities should still remain on Rek'Sai no matter what happens. But before that, I want to show you this clip because it's very important. Normally when you back and you take damage, it of course stops your backing animation, but if you have a Janna shield on you, you see right there, as long as the shield is absorbing the damage, I don't actually stop my backing animation. So make sure to keep that in mind because that should be interacting the exact same way as the initial channel of Rek'Sai's ultimate in terms of taking damage and cancelling. So here you're gonna have the Janna put the shield on me, Karthus ignite me, and the ignite should be able to kill me as I'm traveling with my ultimate. But the strange thing is the fact that even though the shield is absorbing the ignite's damage, it still cancelled my ultimate, which you see right here as I slow it down. So I thought, alright, maybe the true damage from ignite is somehow making this work wonky. I mean, Rek'Sai is technically not taking any damage, so her ultimate's channel at the beginning should not cancel, but let's try it out with Malzahar's E. And you see right there, the exact same thing happens. Rek'Sai herself was not taking any damage, the shield was absorbing all of it, but her channel on her ultimate still got cancelled, even though the first example, the backing animation, did not get cancelled. So quite honestly, the interaction is a little strange, but maybe it predicts the fact that this ability will probably still kill you while you're mid-ultimate, so it automatically cancels, but I'm not entirely sure. Moving on to the next myth, what is the interaction with Bard's Journey and Warwick, Urgot, and Malzahar ultimate? So this one is definitely more straightforward than the previous one. As Bard uses his journey and goes within it, I'm going to be using Warwick ultimate on him as he becomes the purple blob. And you can see that Warwick still does damage to him the whole duration, even though Warwick is obviously nowhere near him, and he continues to disable him until the end of Warwick's ultimate. Following that, let's test it next with the sexiest man in League of Legends, Urgot. The same concept is gonna apply. Bard is gonna make the journey across the wall, and then Urgot's gonna pop his ultimate, and you can see even though Bard seemed to go quite a ways away from Urgot, he still ended up swapping places with him, going to the nearest movable ground beside the wall. And last but not least, we have Malzahar and his ultimate, which had a different interaction than I thought would happen, but regardless is still quite interesting. And as Bard enters the journey, Malzahar actually instantly stops the champion from the journey. It seems to still keep them looking like they're within the journey, just not as a purple blob anymore, and then it simply displaces them to the nearest walkable terrain beside the wall. The next myth is asking, how does the ghost from the Wolfcamp after you smited work when there's more than one champion in the jungle? So I'll be completely honest, I'm still a little uncertain about this because the AI from the little ghost that follows you around is very strange. But regardless, as Warwick ends up smiting the wolves and you see the ghost spawn, I as a Zed player walk into the enemy jungle first and the ghost instantly starts walking towards me. But then as my ally walks into the jungle, it ends up switching to him instead first. So from that alone, it seems like it follows the most recent champion that entered the jungle. But you guys just saw the ghost go back and forth between myself, Zed, and the Teryx, so we thought maybe it goes to the nearest champion, but not the most recent champion that entered the jungle. So we ended up testing it a bit more. In the next example, we ended up both walking into the jungle at more or less the same time. And as you see it this time, the ghost seems to choose to follow Zed over the Teryx. So maybe it follows the champion that is more on the east side of the map or within this specific jungle. So we end up kind of switching it around here, trying to make it seem if it's maybe following the closest target, playing around with it a bit, and it seems to kind of act a little wonky, resetting right there, not really sure what it's doing, so the AI on the ghost seems a little bit strange, which makes it a little difficult to understand how it's really working. So we gave it another go, but this time kind of switching around what we did in the first example. This time Teryx walks in first and then I walk in second as the Zed. But you see the ghost as I walk into the jungle doesn't even care that I'm there, it's just continuing to follow Teryx. Maybe Ezreal is actually disguised within the ghost, or the ghost actually follows the champion that is closest to the eastern side of the jungle. Which I honestly think might be the case because the whole time it only followed Teryx because he's more east in the jungle than I am. And that right there is the conclusion that I came up with. But the last myth of this episode, can Yasuo knock up and ult a target that is ulted by Skarner, Warwick, Malzahar, or Urgot? So whenever Skarner ults a target, it's almost impossible to CC that target away from Skarner as he absolutely latches onto them and doesn't let them move anywhere except for where he wants them to. But even with that being said, it seems like the knock up on the Q, even though it doesn't really knock him that high in the air, still knocks him up for just a split second, and it does allow Yasuo to use his ultimate as well. And for testing purposes, we also did this with Warwick, and as the Yasuo, I stack up my Q so I can use a tornado, and as it's ready to go, the Warwick uses his ultimate on the Shyvana. And as Warwick is pretty much CCing her down to the ground, I'm still able to knock her up, and I'm still able to use the Yasuo ultimate without cancelling Warwick's ultimate. The next example is with Malzahar himself. The same thing happens just like Warwick ultimate. I can still knock up the target, ulti them as well, and not cancel my ally's ultimate. And then we have Urgot, where two different kind of things can happen, but they all lead to the same result. The first of which being that if I knock up the target and Urgot switches them as they get knocked up, the target doesn't instantly get teleported to the ground and Yasuo can still ult them. And in the second scenario, we end up using Yasuo's ultimate a little sooner. And it's gonna seem like Yasuo is just simply whacking away at the air, but the damage and everything from his ultimate still applies to the Xin Zhao even though he was teleported way across from Yasuo. But that unfortunately is it for this episode, guys. The next one probably is going to be featuring Tahm Kench, so look forward to that. If you have any myths you want me to test for the Tahm Kench episode, make sure to write them down below. And if you did enjoy the video, guys, a like on the video will help a lot. Also, make sure to share with your friends, subscribe if you have not yet, and check out the previous episodes and my videos as well. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one. Peace.